on this registration. I hope you boys get over to them and the ladies. The Congress has taken note of the fact that enough men could not be procured by voluntary means to fill the armed forces and passed the Selective Service Law. To carry that out, a registration has been called for starting on the 30th day of August. All men between 18 and 25 will be required to register. I repeat, all men. This includes veterans as well as members of the National Guard and the Organized Reserve of the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard. In conclusion, I want to again repeat that everyone must register. You may go to any local board anywhere, but be sure and remember to give your place of residence, because
most of the countries of the world have joined together in the United Nations in an attempt to build world order based on law and not on force. Most of the members support the United Nations
program are meeting again to establish joint organizations
stronger and more effective. One nation, however, Europe, to protect themselves will be matched by an equal determination on our part to help them to protect themselves. Proposals for action in a little over 2 years. But that is not all. Since the close of hostilities, the Soviet Union and its agents have destroyed the independence and democratic character of a whole series of nations in Eastern and Central Europe. It is this ruthless course of action and the clear design to extend it to the remaining free nations of Europe that have brought about the critical situation in Europe today. I regard it as my duty, therefore, to recommend to the Congress those measures which, in my judgment, are best calculated to give support to the free and democratic nations of Europe and to improve the solid foundation of our own national strength. First, I recommend that the Congress speedily complete its action on the European Recovery Program. That program is the foundation of our policy of assistance to the free nations of Europe. Prompt passage of that program is the most telling contribution we can now make toward peace. Second, I recommend prompt enactment of universal training legislation. Until the free nations of Europe have regained their strength, and so long as communism threatens the very existence of democracy, the United States must remain strong enough to support those countries of Europe which are threatened with communist control and police state rule. Third, I recommend the temporary reenactment of selective service legislation in order to maintain our armed forces at their strength authorized. The recommendations I have made represent the most urgent steps towards securing the peace and preventing war. We must not fall victim to the insidious propaganda that peace can be obtained solely by wanting peace. This theory is advanced in the hope that it will deceive our people and that we will then permit our strength to dwindle because the false belief that all is well in the world. I do not want and I will not accept the political support of Henry Wallace and his communists. Permitting them to join me as the price of victory, I recommend defeat. These are days of high prices for everything. But any price for Wallace and his communists is too much for me to pay. I'm not buying.
Men and the expression of our hopes. Once again, the world hangs crucified on its cross of sin, crucified by nails of greed, anarchy, tyranny, cruelty, and atheism. And in this hour of dreadful, desperate need, we have permitted Soviet Russia to continue a policy of persecution and slaughter, dooming our neighbor nations and ourselves to reap a rotted harvest of appeasement. Once again, while Rome burns literally and symbolically, the world continues to fiddle. I pray God that the Italians, with their great faith in him and their common sense, will not yield their love of God to any puppets of Stalin and betray their country and enslave themselves. For unless they become traitors to every sacred Italian tradition and sense of right, justice, and freedom, this choice must be God against Stalinism.